I did. Hi.
Hello.
Leslie came into my office in the middle of that countdown and she started asking me questions. And I was like, Leslie, I'm literally about to go live. And she goes, why? What are you going? And I said, it's Thursday. And she went, ah. And then she closed the door. Anyway.
That's excellent.
So I have even better news for you, Dan, because before we started going live, we were worried that Jessica might not make it. But good news. She made it.
Excellent.
I know. Now they don't have to listen to you and I, Phil.
Right?
So
I mean, we're filming now, but I mean,
let's just get right into it, right? Like, let's get
Sure.
Jessica in here because we got lots to talk about with Jessica and we can introduce her and all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Jessica Merrill. Hi, Jessica.
Hello. How are you?
We're great. I'm great. I don't know about Dan. I don't want to speak for Dan.
I'm doing great.
So, Jessica, let's just start with some introductions. Tell us about you and your job and you and anything you want to tell us.
It's wide open. I can say what I want. Just kidding.
The story's yours.
So I'm Jessica Merrill. I am the tourism director for Discover Davis, which is the destination management organization for Davis County, Utah. And so essentially what that means is we encourage and promote and establish tourism opportunities to bring people to the county, which ultimately creates more economic impact and helps the overall residents. And end goal is really providing a better quality of life for our residents by getting it supported by the visitor economy. So we kind of do a lot, but that's kind of it in a nutshell.
First of all, that's amazing. A lot to unpack there. But I think the thing that I want to know, since I've met you and we've talked a few times and whatnot, the thing I always want to know is what brought you to this job? Like, was this something you wanted? Like, where did it come from to the passion you have for your job?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Tourism, especially on the destination management side, it's not something that you aspire to be as a kid. Most people don't even really know these organizations really exist. But my background is in marketing and advertising. So I worked at an advertising agency for about 6 or 7 years. And during that time, we had several tourism clients. So I worked on accounts from Bryce Canyon National Park, Cedar City, and some other kind of tourist destination areas. About a couple of years ago, in 2018, I left the advertising world and went and worked for a tech company. And it's one of those things that there's not a whole lot of purpose or passion in wanting to sell a product for stockholders and things like that. And so I really missed, working in an industry that had that greater good and really affected people's lives. And so this position came available. They were looking for a tourism director in Davis County. And at the time I actually lived in Utah County, but I was happy to get out and then come to a different area. And so I jumped on it and luckily they hired me and I've been here ever since. So about 2.5 years now.
So you every day you get to do some really cool stuff. Obviously, I'm sure you work with great destinations and the arts and all these really great things. Mm-hmm. What's a typical day like for a tourism director? What's your day like?
Oh man, that is a lot to unpack. We could be here for hours. No day is the same. But there is there's multiple different things we kind of focus on. We do a lot of community engagement, like you were talking about. We work a lot with our county attractions, our arts community, our cities, anything that, obviously is part of that tourism economy. And we try to, be engaged with them, see what's going on, and then ultimately we help promote the certain things that they're doing. So through our advertising and marketing efforts. But we also, one of the other little things that it's not as sexy as the marketing side of marketing and tourism, but we also own the Davis County Conference Center, the Davis Conference Center. And so our big thing is trying to get big groups in and obviously really help the visitor economy that way. And then we also run and manage the Legacy Event Center in Farmington. So there's a lot going on there. We are actually in the process of working with an architect to remodel that building and build a new building next to it that will be focused on sports that really will help drive and bring in thousands of people every year. that are staying in our hotels, eating in our restaurants, going to all of our different attractions, and just spreading their money all around the area that ultimately helps our economy and our cities to provide a lot of the benefits that our county is able to offer. So there's so many different things going on. So every day it could be different.
So I've lived in Davis County almost my entire life, and I'm always amazed at the stuff that happens within the county that I have no idea about. So my question for you would be, like, what are some of the hidden gems of Davis County that Davis County residents wouldn't know about?
So it depends, I guess, on what your kind of hobbies or interests are. But the one I always tell people, because even as somebody who isn't necessarily a hobbyist in this world, but it's the Eccles Wildlife Education Center. It's in Farmington. It's right on the kind of Great Salt Lake Farmington Bay Preserve area, and it's really great for bird watching. But they also have some trails and obviously just nature walks, things of that nature. But it really is a cool place, and it's one of those things that not a lot of people really know about, and they think, oh, it's just for birders. Again, I'm not a birder, but I have found some really cool had some cool experiences out there, and it is just something.
Oh no. Oh no.
Thing
This is what we call technical
that
difficulty.
isn't you
Are you back with us, Jessica? We
Sorry.
lost you for a
I'm
second.
back. Sorry.
Okay.
It could be me. I'm on my phone. I apologize.
No worries. So one of the things that we've learned as we've been sort of working on our expansion here and growing is how the arts sort of changed the clock on the businesses and the community around us. And it's one of the most interesting things to me about, and I think this extends into tourism in general, but it's one of the most interesting things about why tourism and the arts or things like this are so important to our community. Can you speak to that?
Yes. So I think there's you could most I think parts. Oh no, am I here? Okay, I'm here.
Yes.
One of the most kind of powerful parts of arts and tourism is arts and culture really bring to life either your history, your current, and you're able to really like invest and be part of those experiences. So not only for residents is that important, but also you get that sense of a visitor. Every county, every destination has its own vibe, its own culture. They're kind of their own little, who they are, and so arts and culture are really big in bringing that out into a destination. It kind of is that that it provides that vibe for that area, and not only even just from like an overall cultural standpoint as well. Like it provides a lot of different opportunities for either viewing or experiencing different areas or categories that you might have not been a part of. But it also is very entertaining at the same time. And so for residents and tourists, they're able to engage in our communities through arts and culture. And it again, it brings a personality to life that you can only do so much through other outlets.
Sure. So we've pulled up your website. We're gandering through your website.
Our website.
I know, right? I think Davis County. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but we are very lucky because we are the center of a lot of amusement. Like we have Lagoon, we've got Cherry Hill, we've got these really great places that we know about. Does that help us or does that hurt us for traveling and tourism? Do you know what I mean? Like, do people go, oh, that's all they have there? How do we get past that?
No, it definitely doesn't hurt us. But that is part of one of our jobs in our office is really promoting that whole brand of what we have to offer here, especially when you bring up the amusement aspect. Lagoon and Cherry Hill, which are great drivers in our summertime, they're not open in the winter. And so how do you keep the tourism economy sustainable throughout the year when two of our biggest attractions are only open, 6 months out of the year? And so it's part of our job through marketing campaigns, awareness, advertising, all of that is to really promote all of the different things you can do here. And so that's where you could get into our arts culture, our golf courses, our outdoor recreation, our shopping, our restaurants even. I mean, we just have a lot of different things to do that aren't just seasonal. And so we really just try to promote all of that. And in reality, especially with all these different things, we're very well rounded in what we have to offer because there's something for everyone. And so our tagline is Discover Davis, Utah's amusement capital. And we kind of looked at that as everybody finds amusement amusement in different ways. So for you, it's maybe going to the theater or going golfing, but for someone else, it might be the attractions like Lagoon and Cherry Hill, or maybe it's going shopping and spending the day at Station Park, something along those lines. But amusement is different for everybody, and we're able to offer anything that whatever that person is looking for, we have that in our county. And so we capitalized on having a lot of amusement parks and kind of what we're known for, but we're trying to get out, and we are getting out, that there's other things to do here. So that's kind of one of our big main missions, is really trying to promote everything that there is in the county. And, there is something for everybody.
I want to know, and somebody actually asked me this earlier when we were talking about having you on today, if there's one or two events that you look forward to every year in our county, because there's something that stands out for you.
Event specific?
Yeah.
Oh man, there's actually quite a bit, but I would say my two favorite is the Antelope by Moonlight bike ride that's held usually in July. And that's actually an event our office puts on, but so I'm not being biased. It legitimately is a fun event. And it's under the moonlight, starts at 10 p.m., big party before, out on Antelope Island. It's just a great experience. But then, oh man, I'd say maybe the other one is the Baniful Chalk Art Festival that they have. That one's always a fun one to go to as well, and see all the different artwork and creativity that people from all over our county and whatnot create. So that one's a good one too. But really, there's quite a few. That one's a hard question.
Sure. Right. Well, and it's, no, there's no bias or question. There's so many things. Everybody loves something different. You said that earlier, but Dan, do you have a question? Are you? Yeah. Sorry.
So I might be asking a really very pointed or difficult. Sorry, my dogs are wrestling in the background, so it's driving me crazy. Anyway, a pointed question, because so in my opinion, Davis County is growing really fast. What steps are being taken to make sure that the tourism piece doesn't get shoved down or lost because of the growth? Because I think sometimes counties and cities can get compacted with housing areas and not business opportunities or tourist things that bring people in.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very valid and important question. And it's something that we talk about all the time because, we are in a unique position in the sense of not only working for the county, but in our role, but our cities really are the ones that control a lot of the attractions that are coming in, or like you're saying, that could be more for development or other things. And so that's where that kind of community engagement comes out as well. And we look at that of working with our cities and their stakeholders and just, again, promoting that, this is how much tourism brings to our economy. And this is how important, tourist and the whole tourism visitor economy is to our area. But then also even taking that a step further and really just trying to be part of those conversations, but then take it on ourselves we're in the process right now of, actually right before this, we were on a call with a couple vendors to start building out a destination development and strategic plan for the long time future. Because as you said, we are growing like crazy. All of Utah is. But Davis County is even in a different, unique situation in the sense of we're the smallest county by land mass because we have just as much water in our county than we do as land. But we're the third most populated county in the state. And so we don't have just all this land to develop and keep growing. Like there's only so much we can work with being surrounded by the mountains and the lake. And what we do in the next, 10 years is going to, it's going to guide us for the next 50 to 100 years. Right. And so again, there's only so much we can do, but we like to try to work well with our stakeholders, our cities, and really just try to have those important conversations, because quality of life is why tourism even exists, right? It's not necessarily to just fill people and get people here. The whole point is economic impact of bringing in funds, visiting our residents, or our businesses, that ultimately go back into sales tax or support a local business that lives here. And obviously that funnels into, all the different things, parks and rec and facilities and whatever that is for the city. And so really it's, there's that important factor of we can bring in more and just really trying to tell that story so we can keep capitalizing on tourism attractions, and hopefully that gets out. But it's definitely a tough, it's tough to have those conversations because we need housing too, right? So there's this balance of kind of working through those things. So ongoing conversation, and we'll keep going and always in the process.
Do you ever find yourself in like an argument for tourism with other people?
I wouldn't say argument, but definitely always stressing the importance of tourism, because again, not a lot of people understand why tourism is important. Like a lot of people, and even residents, luckily we don't have what they're calling over tourism in our area. But there's a lot of different places in Utah and across the country that have this excess of people coming into their area. So the residents obviously are affected by that and don't love it, because then it takes away from their experience. And so there is that fine line of sometimes a negative perception of tourism. And so it's really looking at balancing those conversations and looking at quality versus quantity of visitors. And that's what we're really looking at, as not only Davis County, but most, my counterparts throughout Utah and the country. It's really focusing on, this is the importance of tourism. This is what it does for you as a resident. And then look, we're not just trying to get whoever here. We want quality visitors that will stay, longer, spend more money, and don't just come here, destroy our cities or our county and then leave. We want that quantity, or that quality.
How can a regular, sorry, Dan, how can a regular citizen?
I can't hear you for some reason.
No, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me now?
What about me? Can you hear me?
I don't know what happened.
No, she can't hear either of us apparently, Dan.
Uh-oh.
We'll just we can talk about her, but she can't talk about us, which is probably the best.
Hello?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
No.
Hello?
Now the video caught up.
I don't know what happened. I can't hear you guys now.
That's so weird. Let's see if I can.
I don't know what's happening. I'm going to leave and come back. Is that allowed?
Yes,
Okay.
Of course. Hi, Dan. It's just us again.
Well, hello. Yeah, no.
Okay. I was just about to ask a hard-hitting question, and now I forgot what it is.
Darn it.
I'm so sad about that.
I'll admit, like, sometimes I think as a resident, I sometimes forget about how much, and that's a question I would like to find out is, like, what are our numbers for tourism in Davis County? I'm sure that there's some way that they track that information. And
I mean, yes, right? She's back. Let's see if she's back.
I've got it. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry.
Worry. Okay, so I had a hard-hitting question, and I forgot it, but I remember it now. It's not really hard-hitting, but I think for me, like, and Dan sort of talked about it while you were gone a little as well, but like as a general citizen, it's hard for us to realize even how much tourism is available in our counties and our cities. But like, what can I do as a general citizen to support you and what you're doing to make Davis County better? Not just by going to shows or, going places, but is there a way for citizens to support you past tourism? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's, depending on maybe what your interests are or passion, but I mean, we all know that, like, goes back to the conversation about, our city stakeholders or planning commissions or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, they're the ones that are really making the decisions on what is potentially coming in the future. And so if there's something that you're passionate about, like, be engaged. Like, don't feel bad to reach out or nervous about reaching out to your elected officials, and just express about what you to you or your city, and really just even being engaged in that aspect beyond, just, go to the arts, go visit or go to our attractions and shop or whatnot. I mean, that's just kind of almost something natural we all do, right? But really just kind of being that champion for that whole destination development. I mean, that's a word tourism uses, but it really is. I mean, residents benefit from the tourism aspect. It's just as important to have these attractions in our area for visitors as it is for residents, right? I mean, it provides that better quality of life to do things. Trails is always a big one. There are so many people that love our trails, and it's fascinating to me that people still aren't educated on, like, trail etiquette. Like, pick up your trash, don't throw your trash. Even the things like that can even just help the overall tourism kind of initiatives in taking care of where we live and what we're promoting. So there's a lot of different things, but I would say those two things are the biggest. Be involved, be engaged with your elected officials or your communities, and then, take care of our backyard, because we're not the only ones using it. So
Sure.
So I teased a question while you were away, and so if I don't ask it, then I'll leave all of our thousands and thousands of viewers wondering and wanting. So how does Davis County comparisons are tough, and I know that a lot of counties are very different as well. But like from a tourism standpoint, how does Davis County compare to, like, do we do a great job bringing people in from a tourism standpoint, or is there something that needs to be worked on? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember. I don't remember exactly what number we are. And especially just, our whole tourism world blew up, right? The last 2 years, in the sense of, it was almost non-existent for a while. And so we're still trying to get out of that and recover from those stages. But, at one point we were probably about I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe 7th or 8th highest hotel tax in the state, at least from looking at it from the Utah state standpoint. And so obviously it's very hard. We're not on the same level, as we don't have a national park in our county. We don't have a ski resort in our county, which drives a lot of visitation. When you think of Utah, you think of our national parks and our ski resorts, right? And so which in reality, it's kind of been a good issue for us, because we're not having an over tourism problem in our area. But what we do is we really just try to focus on what we do have, and we're not trying to be somebody else. And that's where we look at, we do have Lagoon. It's the only amusement park in Utah. That's what makes us different. And, so we focus on that and all the different amusement options. We're in an urban area, so we're able to offer, as I mentioned earlier, a variety of different things. And so you think of some of maybe these rural communities that might have a national park, but I don't know if they have a very engaged and active arts culture, for instance, or have art galleries and theaters and, golf courses. Like, we're lucky that we might not have these big beastie tourism draws, but we have a lot of different things that, we can still offer. So we're not the top, but we are definitely still in that top 10, at least from the state of Utah, and being positioned in northern Utah, right outside of Salt Lake. We're in a good position for that. So there's still definitely room for growth, especially in those off seasons, we call them, like from outside of summer, when
the natural fit is everyone's traveling and things, but that's where we kind of focus on our, group sales, like conference centers and sporting tournaments and things like that. So we've got a lot of things still going for us, but and we're in a good position, but we still can do a lot more. So
if you had like a dream, a tourism dream for Davis County, like that you could put out there in the world and make happen, what is it?
Oh my gosh.
I know we're hard-hitting questions here. We are.
I know you guys are like grilling me. There is a lot, but sure. I think my biggest thing, which the county is actually kind of already doing right now, so that's kind of nice, but really focusing on one thing that the pandemic did teach the tourism industry was when the whole world kind of shut down and when it started kind of opening up, meetings and conventions and, a lot of leisure travel picked up, but it was still kind of local and regional and things like that. Sports, especially youth sports, did not really slow down, especially if they were sports that for outside, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to have a lot more of sports facilities in our county to be able to accommodate large groups and tournaments and things like that. That would probably be my biggest tourism dream for Davis County. And like I said, Davis County is in the process of capitalizing on that to a point. But there's only so much you can do and because of budgets and things like that. So if I had an endless budget and it was just like snap my fingers and this is what I'd want, I would like triple down and go crazy with it and really focus on that, because that's where we can really bring incremental economic impact through tourism to Davis County. So there's
an NFL football stadium and a team.
I mean that could be cool. The problem with NFL is they play like 6 games in their home stadium, so it would have to be concerts and everything else, which would still be cool. Don't get me wrong. But
I would imagine that I mean, like, we're in the theater business obviously, and we look at like Broadway as like the place and there's so many cool things. Is there a tourism place that you look at as like the one that's doing it perfectly? Is there such a thing?
Like in our county or just anywhere in the world?
Anywhere. Like, is there somebody that's just an example of tourism that you always look to?
That's a good question. I think a lot of them have good, I mean, you could even just think of your Las Vegas's, your New York's, just your natural destinations that you think about. But that doesn't mean that there's not always wants and mores and situations and issues that everyone's dealing with. I mean, New York might be like Broadway. I mean, it's the capital of travel essentially in America. Well, besides maybe Vegas, but there's still issues of, potentially over tourism or too many people and traffic. And so there's always issues. And so that's hard because I think every destination is doing what they can and trying to just stay on top and manage what they're able to. You can only control so much too, right? And so, that one, I can't give a specific, but I can just, knowing a lot of them, especially in the state of Utah, I work well with a lot of the different counties and tourism directors. All of them are doing great things, but we all have our separate, little issues or things that we're working on to improve or whatnot. So that one's tough. So all of them are great.
Sure. Well, is there anything else you want to bring up before we, have to move on from this chat? Is there anything?
No, not specifically. I mean, I appreciate you guys having me on and able to talk about tourism in Davis County. And I love that you guys are part of our arts, just overall conversations. And we try to help promote you guys as much as we can. And we are definitely champions for having more arts and culture in our area. So we appreciate all the work you do. And hopefully we can help amplify that and help where we can. So, but I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. And I will speak for lots of the arts organizations in our county that say thank you to you, because you are a big supporter, and OPAS is grateful, and all the arts are grateful, because it matters to have people like you and Discover Davis championing us and helping us succeed. And it's a big deal for us smaller organizations. So thank you for that.
Yep. Happy to help. Awesome.
All right. Well, we've done it. It was a delightful chat. Thank you, Jessica.
Yes, thank you. Sorry I had some difficulties. Technical
live
difficulties.
That was easy. We do live theater. That was an easy technical
Okay,
difficulty.
good. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, bye, Jessica.
Thanks.
Bye.
How about her, Dan Tate?
That was great.
I know.
I did find myself asking. I thought I was asking some more like, oh, if it sounded challenging. I didn't mean for it to be challenging, but like, I've never really put a lot of thought behind tourism in Davis County, and so it was really piqued my interest when we started talking about it.
Well, it's interesting to like think about it as a business, and I know that sounds stupid because we're all in running, but like when you really stop to think about it, you're like, oh yeah, you got to think about those dollars and where they're. Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. It's always interesting to learn more about people and what they do for a living. Like, have you ever like said, somebody's like, oh, I run a theater, for instance, and you think in your head, what do you do? Like, what does that mean? You run a theater, like,
or
like does even your job? I know what you do for a living, and I'm like, huh?
Well, Jessica said it herself. She's like, I don't know if anybody ever grows up saying, I want to be the county tourism,
right?
Who thinks that? But it's stuff that you just fall into, and it was interesting to hear her perspective on that.
Yeah, she's fantastic, and she's done a lot of good for the arts in our community. So we cannot thank her and Discover Davis enough. I did put a link in in the comments to get involved with Discover Davis. If you want, you can volunteer with Discover Davis on their events. They also have links to volunteer for other people on their website. It's a great website. So discoverdavis.com. Check it out. All right, Dan Tate. We'll be back next week with amazing guests and lots more to talk about. And I can't wait.
Yep. I'll be here.
All right. Well, it has been a great chat. Now I'm going. So it's the awkward goodbye.
Yep. Here
Bye.
it comes. I notice when you do this, when you do the live at lunch with Questley, it goes a lot faster. I don't know why.
I think it's because you talk over as I'm ending it. So I let it. Yeah. So I don't want to cut you off because I'm trying to be nice.
Gotcha. I see. And I keep talking for that funny moment when I do get cut off.
Oh, okay. Well, then keep talking. I'll hit the button now.